Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about this little number over here, because as you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading below $5,300, which, if my math is correct, is below $6,000, which was up until about 48 hours ago, the most important support level in all of Bitcoin technical analysis. Now it's the most important resistance level in all of Bitcoin technical analysis, because just yesterday, Bitcoin decided to go and jump off a cliff just a couple of hours after I recorded that video. And as you can see, it didn't stop there. It didn't stop at $6,000. It didn't even stop at $5,500. It went all the way down to where it is currently now at a recent low of around $5,250, and it looks like it's going even lower. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down this correction. I'm going to be talking about what perhaps caused this, because we didn't really see any major technical and certainly not any fundamental catalyst for this sell-off, and we're going to be trying to get to the bottom of what this actually means for the market later on in today's video. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. The first thing I want to say, by the way, is an apology for the video being out late. I promise that's not because I've been sitting here crying to myself for the last 3 hours because Bitcoin has crashed. It actually is legitimately just because my internet is being spotty. And, well, if you guys see this video, that means my internet stopped being stupid and I was able to record this video. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see, in the last 24 to 48 hours, last 24 hours about, we saw Bitcoin trading sideways up here. We saw Bitcoin just doing its thing, just trading sideways like it had been for the last couple of months over here, not really doing anything all that interesting. And then yesterday, what we started to see happen was Bitcoin started to trail off down here. It started to move down here towards this long-term uptrend of support, which we were hoping Bitcoin was going to hold. If you guys remember my little mantra about that, this was the long-term uptrend of support, which Bitcoin had been holding, which Bitcoin had been using to set the trend in motion of setting consecutive higher lows, which could be something that we could use to see form a new rally. That's not what happened, though. We saw Bitcoin come down here, test it, and we broke through this uptrend of support. It didn't stop there, though. Bitcoin continued moving down, and we saw a break of $6,000. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be breaking down the dynamics of that move later on in the video by showing you guys what happened in the order books. I'm not going to get to that right now, but for right now, just know that Bitcoin broke both of those levels of support and continued moving farther south, and we're currently trading, at time of recording, around $5,200. I did, by the way, say for a long time, my official position on this had been that I gave Bitcoin going below $6,000 about a 30% chance of happening. Now, in yesterday's video, that's not what I said, but I was making a joke. If you know what I'm talking about, I was making a very obvious joke in that video. But my official position has been for a very long time that I gave Bitcoin about a 30% chance of going below $6,000. I've said that in probably a dozen videos. You guys can go back and find those on the channel if you're interested in the proof. But the fact is, we did go below it. I didn't think it was what was most likely, and based on the evidence that I had as little as 48 hours ago, I still didn't think it was what was most likely. We did not have a fundamental catalyst for this to happen. By the way, guys, nothing has changed fundamentally, which is why you might be able to tell I'm not all that concerned about this. Nothing has changed fundamentally. Overall, the fundamentals are still looking very, very good. The technicals just aren't, and the technicals normally do realign with the fundamentals after a little while. Nothing to really be alarmed by, but just because this happened doesn't mean that the technical analysis that anyone, not just myself, was doing a day ago is necessarily invalid. It just means that the market acts like a market, guys. The market is the manifestation of the valuation being traded in the market, and it seems that there are some key whales behind this big movement. Like I said, we'll discuss that later on in the video. Anyway, let's go ahead and do the crypto market recap, as much as it may pain us to do the sort by change over the last 24 hours, except for that coin right there. As we can see, Bitcoin is trading around $5,371, the lowest it has traded in over a year. Now, there's two ways you can look at that, guys. You can be very, very scared about that and say, oh, well, Bitcoin's going to go down further, but ask yourself this question. How much further is Bitcoin actually going to go down? $5,000, $4,000, $3,000, you're probably going to realize I'm not going to call a bottom in this video. I'm not going to say where I think Bitcoin is going in this video just yet. I want the market to develop a little bit more. But for the sake of argument, ask yourself this question. How much further do you think Bitcoin is going to go down? And for how much longer do you think Bitcoin is going to go down? Do you think it's going to go down to $4,000? Do you think it's going to go down to $3,000? Do you think it's going to continue going down for the next 6 months, the next year, the next 2 years? Then ask yourself your question. How much longer do you have to live? Are you going to live another decade, another 2 decades, hopefully another 4, 5, 6, 7 decades? How much longer do you guys have to live? Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market, the blockchain industry, is an emerging market. It is a very, very young market with a long way to grow. And of course, bear markets are going to happen during that time. So don't get scared because Bitcoin is going down. When Bitcoin is going down, that's the time to get greedy. I am in no way, shape, or form telling you guys to buy into the market right now. I'm not saying that. Do not misconstrue me. I'm not saying to buy into the market right now. I'm saying don't get scared of the market and leave the market, because as Bitcoin goes down, we're always moving closer towards the next bull run. Every day that passes is another day that we're moving towards the next bull run. At this point, my projections and my predictions about a bull run starting in Q1 of 2019 have been thrown on their head. I'll discuss what I believe now in a future video. But my point is, there is a bull run coming to Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency market. It is not dead. It may take another year or two to form, but do not get scared and leave the space to never return. There's no problem with leaving while the bear market is happening and then investing later. I'm just wanting to warn you guys that leaving the market just because we see something like this happen is a big mistake, and in 10 years you'll be hitting yourself if you do. I did want to go ahead and get that out of the way, because I know a lot of you guys are very concerned about this, and I don't want you guys to be, because honestly, this is not really that big of a deal on the fundamental side. It is a big deal on the technical side, but like I said earlier, a lot of times the technicals for the market will realign with the fundamentals if you give it enough time. So just have a little patience. Patience is the #1 thing that I think we've all learned here in 2018, and I think that's a great life lesson, not just for markets, but for life in general. Anyway, with that little life lesson out of the way, let's go ahead and get on to the crypto market recap. Bitcoin is currently currently hovering below the Hoffman line. The Hoffman line represented the $100 billion market capitalization line, which we had seen hold earlier on in the year. When Bitcoin pulled back to it over here in June, we saw Bitcoin come down to trade around $5,750 twice. We saw a double bottom down here. Excuse my phone, sorry about that. We saw the Bitcoin market come down to around $5,750 twice, and that represented the Hoffman line. Bitcoin came down to the valuation of around $100 billion market capitalization. And we haven't seen that happen again. This time, we saw Bitcoin go below it. Yesterday, when I was watching Bitcoin crash here, I was hoping that Bitcoin would get a bounce around there. Unfortunately, as you can see here on the 4-hour chart, Bitcoin didn't stop for a pee break at $5,750. It kept on going and going and going and going. And like I said in a couple of other videos also, I said this a lot also. If you guys go back and watch videos, I said in many videos, if Bitcoin breaks and confirms a break below $6,000, we ain't going to stop at $6,000. We're not going to stop at $5,500. We're not going to stop at $5,600. Bitcoin's going straight to $5,000 or somewhere around there. And within about 24 to 48 hours, we're trading down around $5,200. And that's because of what we're going to discuss later as it relates to order books. There's just not a lot of buy orders down here, guys, because if Bitcoin breaks $6,000, people are going to get bearish and the market's going to tank. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw a blood fall. Just like I said, if we break $6,000, it's going to be bloody. And that's what we're seeing right now. Bitcoin, the bottom might not be in yet, guys. I'm going to talk about that later. This might be a long video. I do apologize for being out late. You can blame AT&T for that. My internet wasn't working. Anyway, I still have a little bit of a cold. As you can see, Bitcoin's daily volume is looking very healthy, around $8 billion. We wanted more volume to come back into Bitcoin, but as I've said before, I don't think that's exactly the kind of volume that we wanted to see. Most of that is, of course, sell side volume. If we bring our volume candlesticks up here, we had a lot of volume come into the market. A lot of volume came into the market recently, especially on this major candlestick right here, around 7 to right around up until about noon Eastern Standard Time. This was mostly happening. Saw a lot of volume come back into the market. Bitcoin is down 14% in the last 24 hours. Black Friday came early, guys. Like I said, just because Bitcoin is down, that doesn't necessarily mean to get bearish. And just because Bitcoin is up, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to get bullish. And like I said, also, this doesn't necessarily mean the bottom is in. Most of these things that we think mean something don't actually mean anything. They're corollary rather than causal. A couple of examples I just gave you. Just because Bitcoin is down, that doesn't mean that you need to go and run away and panic sell and run away from the market. If you guys are investing in Bitcoin for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years until you retire, whenever, if you're investing for the long term, you don't need to be worried about this. In fact, you ought to be happy about this because this means you can buy more Bitcoin for your long-term position at a good price. And the same thing, but the inverse would be true if we were going to new all-time high, by the way. We're just in a bear market right now. Anyway, like I said, I'm getting on a little bit of a tangent here. Ethereum is currently trading at around $170. Not a great day for Ethereum either, but of course the entire market hasn't been doing all that well. Ethereum's down by about 13.6% with a daily volume of around $3 billion, almost as much volume as Bitcoin was having right before this major sell-off. Ripple is sitting down here around 43 cents. Ripple has actually done kind of all right in this. XRP, I should say, has done all right in this. It's down by about 11% in the last 24 hours. XRP had a very strong level of support around 45 cents, and we've only barely broken it, so I'm happy to see that XRP is holding a bit of ground. XRP was trading around 25 cents just a couple of months ago, if I remember correctly. So XRP is still actually up compared to where it was recently. If you guys are in XRP, you're probably pretty happy right now because of all the altcoins, it hasn't gotten hit as bad as many of the other ones. Bitcoin Cash has obviously lost most of that little run-up that it had moving into the Bitcoin Cash hard fork, which I haven't covered on this channel yet because it has just been an absolute clown fiesta. We haven't seen, this has just been a mess. I haven't talked about it, but there has been a hard fork issue coming with Bitcoin Cash. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it in this video, but nevertheless, Bitcoin Cash has lost a lot of valuation, which it had gained down by about 15% over the last 24 hours. And if we sort by change over the last 24 hours, we're going to see that Nasdaq coin is up by 300%. So congratulations to the two of you who are in Nasdaq coin, but for the rest of us, the market isn't looking that great. If we scroll down here, we're going to see that there are a grand total of 5 cryptocurrencies in the green, 2 of them being stable coins, so they don't even really count, and 2 of them only being up by a couple of percentage points. And of course, we have our outlier right here, up 300%. Not exactly sure what's going on there. But the rest of the market is, of course, extremely red. We see most of the market is in the double-digit red. Not exactly a great sight if you guys are investing for the short term or you already invested recently. But like I said, if you guys are in this for the long run, and I do think even if you're in this for the short run and you're for the short term, I should say, and you're an intraday trader or a day trader or a swing trader or whatever, there's opportunity in both sides, guys. Like I want to drill this into your head in this video because I know there's going to be a lot of FUD and there's going to be a lot of fear in the market right now. Just because the market is red, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to get fearful and scared and have uncertainty and doubt and fearfulness. Like I said, that's what FUD means. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You don't need to get FUDful just because the market is red. And by the way, just because the market is green, that doesn't mean you need to FOMO. You don't need to get into the whole fear of missing out problem. You don't need to worry about the market just continuing to go up forever. You don't need to think that either. Just because the market is going down, that doesn't mean you need to get scared. And just because the market is going up, that doesn't mean that you need to necessarily get greedy. We saw that happen at the end of 2017. What we saw was Bitcoin ran all the way up to $20,000, and people got really excited because the market was going up and up and up and up and up, and they thought it would never stop, and it did stop. And a lot of people get the same problem when the market is going down. They see the market's going down and down and down and down and down. They think it's never going to stop, and then it does stop, and it turns around, and they missed an opportunity to buy. Like I said, I'm not in any way saying to buy right now. What I am saying, guys, is just because the market's going down, don't get scared. Markets have natural cycles. They go into bull markets. They go into bear markets. It just so happens we're in a bear market right now, guys, and the next 6 months may continue to be bearish. Like I said, we'll discuss the technicals later, but the most important thing is don't get scared just because the market is looking a little bit bearish right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this move because there are some important things that we need to, there are some important technicals that we need to discuss here. The first thing that I want to talk about is I want to go in a little bit more depth on what exactly happened here. Let's go into the hourly chart. Hopefully my internet is messing up. Maybe my internet is even out right now. I have no way of knowing. But the thing that I want to discuss here is that Bitcoin was above this uptrend of support right here. We did see it come down here, and it did look like we were testing it yesterday. And I do believe my internet has gone out again. So we're going to try and record a YouTube video with no internet. Let's see if we can do this, guys. I apologize for my chart being stupid. I can't do anything about it, and we're 13 minutes in, so I don't want to go ahead and restart the video. But we saw Bitcoin was coming down to test this uptrend of support right here, and we thought it was going to hold. I honestly thought it was going to hold because we'd seen many touches on it. There we go. Because we'd seen many touches on this uptrend of support. It looked like it was going to hold. It looked like a strong uptrend of support, and there weren't really any technicals indicating that we were going to go below it. There were a couple of technicals that we pointed out and that we've talked about on the channel before, but I didn't believe that those outweighed the bullish fundamentals, the growingly bullish fundamentals, and the other bullish technicals that we've discussed before on the channel. And I certainly didn't think that there was a major reason that we were going to go below $6,000. Like I've said before, there was always a chance that we were going to go below $6,000. Like I've said before, we did see Bitcoin come down and test this floor of $6,000 many, many times. And one of the most important things in technical analysis that you need to realize is that the more times a market goes and tests a level of support or resistance, the more likely it is to break. So we did have a precedent, and we did have a reason to believe that there was a small chance, but definitely a chance that we would break below $6,000, which is why I said to you guys, I've said this a couple times in videos, is that just because we don't think Bitcoin's going to break $6,000 does not mean that we shouldn't cover ourselves. I hope you guys had stop losses if you were trading Bitcoin below $6,000 because that was the proper place to have one. There was definitely a good reason to have that. And because many people had stop losses just below $6,000, that's one of the main reasons, or that's one of the main things that exacerbated this major sell-off and pushed us south here. And that's what I want to talk about mainly in today's video, is not really just the technicals, because the technicals are all just thrown into a whack right now. I can go out to the daily chart, show you guys the RSI, for example. The RSI on the daily chart is looking absolutely ridiculous. We can see this. Let's bring the RSI up here. As you can see, daily RSI is sitting at 15, and I believe the last time daily RSI was sitting at 15 was in 2016. It was back over here in August of 2016. The last time it was even, actually, no, it wasn't even then. It was back over here in 2015. We haven't seen daily RSI this low in a very long time, which indicates we'll probably see some kind of bounce coming here over the next couple of days. We may pull back to around $5,000 to set a floor there. We're probably going to see some kind of bounce in the next couple of days. But my point is, I don't really want to discuss technicals here. I want to talk about what really caused this, because it doesn't seem to be technicals. It certainly isn't fundamentals, because no matter what happens on the technical chart, the fundamentals are still looking bullish. What seems to have happened to me, guys, and this is the first time you're ever going to hear me say this, is this seems to have been manipulation. I am one of the last people to cry manipulation. You guys will probably notice that I almost never attribute anything to manipulation, because it's very hard to prove, and I don't like to say in the lack of evidence that a move happened because of manipulation. And the reason I have Binance open here is because I want to show you guys the depth charts and the order books for Bitcoin, and show you guys what exactly happened here and why Bitcoin was able to move so quickly. 24 hours ago, as you can see, Bitcoin was trading at $6,300 and currently is trading at around $5,600 here on Binance and about $5,400 here on Coinbase. What happened here? And the reason that I said if we ever break $6,000, we're going straight to 5, is because the order books were very thin below $6,000 and down towards about $5,000. As you can see here in the order books, see this little line right here? We see this plateau right here in between. We can see the Bitcoin price action down here on the bottom axis. We see that it's jumping around a little bit, but right from about where my cursor is here to right over here, in between about $5,400 and about $5,300 right there, $5,400 to $5,600 or so, there's almost no buy orders. And what that means is that if the market starts moving very quickly and you have a couple whales come in, sell several hundred Bitcoin, and there's no buy orders to stop them in between, for example, in our case, about $6,000 to down around $5,500 where it started to get a little bit of support, what that means is that the market is able to move very, very, very quickly, because the only thing that slows down the market moving south and the only thing that slows the market down from moving up is a bunch of buy orders or a bunch of sell orders slowing down the whales that were selling. And what seems to have happened is a lot of whales came in, because if you go back and you look at the transaction history, there seemed to have been a lot of big sell orders come in. What seems to have happened is that a lot of people came in and they started selling a ton of Bitcoin, and they ground through the sell orders. They were sitting right in here. They just ground straight through them in a time of low liquidity early on in the morning. And what they did is they got through all those sell orders, and then they sold a bunch of Bitcoin to tank the market down by about $600 or $700. There are many different reasons why people would have wanted this to happen. For example, if this was, in my opinion, if this was due to a couple of whales and several whales that had a lot of Bitcoin, and also, just by the way, a lot of people that were generally bearish in the market. Of course, it's not just the whales, but if this did happen because of that, there were good reasons for them to want to do that. One of them, of course, would have been to send Bitcoin below $6,000, try and push the market even lower than it already is, and then buy Bitcoin on the cheap so that they can invest for the long term, which is what we should be doing, guys. At this time, that seems to have been one of the motivations if this was to happen. Like I said, guys, I'm one of the last people to call manipulation, and I'm not even saying that was the only cause for this. There are definitely other causes for this. Breaking $6,000 was always going to cause a major sell-off, but one of the things that could have caused this were some people selling a lot of Bitcoin on exchange with a very small order book, a very thin order book, at a time of very low volume and very low volatility. And I've been warning about that for a long time. We've seen very low volume. We need to be careful of that, because the market can move very, very quickly when there's low volume, guys. And since we are still in a bearish point in the market, it's more than likely that it's going to move in a bearish way. Anyway, guys, that's mainly what I want to talk about today. See how flat that order book is right here, in between about $5,100 to about $5,500 here on Binance. We see almost no Bitcoin buy orders. We see about 50 Bitcoin worth of buy orders on Binance. Well, I don't know about you guys, but 50 Bitcoin in the grand scheme of things isn't actually that much Bitcoin. That's not a whole lot of money, and it's not that hard to move the market a very long way if you can move it all at once and just sell 1,000 Bitcoin on exchange and wipe out that order book and push Bitcoin down on one exchange, and then all the other exchanges are going to follow. That's what seems to have happened. Anyway, guys, this video has been a bit longer, and I have rambled a little bit. But I do want to thank all you guys who've been defending me in the comment section, because there have been a lot of trolls in the comment section saying, oh, well, Jab, your credibility's gone now, or saying stupid stuff like that. That's water off a duck's back, guys. You can go ahead and make fun of me all you want. I actually enjoy it. Continue bringing it, because I love reading your funny comments, because I get to use them against you. Because what I'll do sometimes, if you guys have a really dumb comment, what I'll do is I'll pin you at the top of the comment section, let everybody make fun of you for 10 or 15 minutes, and then ban you from the comment section. I've done that a couple times to haters, and it's always really funny. So if you guys do want to go ahead and keep going hate, Drop it in the comment section down below. You're helping the engagement, helping the video get ranked. So thank you for dropping those comments. Also, if you did like the video, drop a like. If you didn't like the video, go ahead and drop a dislike because, like I said, it helps out the engagement of the video, and I get to know whether or not, well, I get to have a little bit of feedback for the video on into the future. Tell me in the comment section down below where you guys think the market is going from here. Like I said, I'm not doing any major price predictions here in this video because we need to let the market develop a little bit more before we start really talking about where the market will be going in the longer term time frame, since everything has been thrown on its head right now. Based on daily RSI, I do expect we'll probably get some kind of bounce coming in the next couple of days. We may go down to $5,000 before we see that, but I think we'll see some kind of upwards movement. Probably not a lot, guys. The market has just gotten a lot more bearish, and so too have I. Anyway, guys, like I said, I'm rambling a little bit. Tell me in the comment section down below what you think is going to happen over the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be discussing a lot of this in more detail in the coming videos over the next couple of weeks. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.